We are going to make something called bath chaps. And the way you eat it is by slicing it rather thin, and you just enjoy it with like mustard or pickled vegetables, something tangy and sourly because it's rich and fatty. This is the method for anything that goes in a big pot. They're gonna go in. That the collagen, the tough bits that make a jowl tough have been melted into gentle, sweet gelatin. What we call this is the distilled essence of your brine and of the fatty pork. It is therefore pork liquor. Bath chaps. So good. And would you recommend processing all animals via stun and stick, i.e. captive bolt or bullet, all via restraining and bleeding out, halal kosher, or sticking with the former for large animals and the latter for small? Good question. I think that, in my experience, as much as my mind is given to projecting absolute rules on particular examples of a thing, I have to say that with the slaughter of livestock, it is very much a case-by-case thing, because there's another variable in the efficient, humane, decisive, immediate death of an animal. And it's not just the physiology of the animal and its nature as either an omnivore or a prey animal, waterfowl, quadruped. It is you. It is the killer. And I would say you are almost a more decisive factor. And so what that usually means is the one you're best at. And that doesn't mean the one you like the most. The one, because you got to be careful. It's easy to slip into, as an animal killer, the one that is the most comfortable for you, maybe because it's distant, you know, like a bullet. But the one that you can achieve the most certainty in its employment, that you are delivering a decisive kill, that's the one you should use. So, and I guess the readiest example of this would be with a sheep or a goat. And, you know, I show you, I think we have a video on this, how to slaughter a goat for a feast, I think is what it is. How you can do it well with a knife. It's not necessarily, in my opinion, that the kosher or halal knife-only method is inherently more humane. I think it is that the what decides the efficiency and the kindness of the kill is more the build up to it, which is crazy, I know. But they don't have death. They don't panic at the notion of death like we do. So if you can control their body, you control their mind. And let's say your knife is super sharp and you can deliver just one quick kill, but you're chasing the goat for 15 minutes. In that case, your selection of death by knife was probably not the best option. If in that situation, because the chase amps them up so much. And the neat thing about a gun is it eliminates the chase, usually, hopefully. That's the idea, at least, is that, let's say in that situation, you also happen to be a good shot and the goat is close and it's not a long, risky shot. You can shoot the goat from outside of its pen. You're not even in there with it, right? So its flight response is like 0. You can bench rest on the fence, you're patient, you take your time, but because you're a good shot, you know you're gonna get it. Bang, one shot down. In that case, that is a more humane kill than the goat chasing fiasco. So the one you're best at is the one you are most competent at. The one that you can most decisively deliver is the way to go. And then of course the other consideration is the nature of the animal. So you're not, well, there's always exceptions to everything, isn't there? I was going to say, you're not going to manhandle a pig, right? You're not going to lay it down like you lay down a goat, but people do. And it is possible to do it in a non-horrible fashion. It takes a lot of skill, and I think I would try other things first. But I think I've described to you guys before one of my heroes, John Howard, from a book called The English Pig, or The Pig in England. I'm blanking. But it is an account of this local village slaughterman who was also the watchmender. Useful guy to have around. He was good at the pig killing. So every year he killed everybody's pigs in the village. And his method, not having a rifle, was to kill pigs without a shot. And so he did what, and I forgot the word for it, but veterinarians practice this today. They tie a rope around the snout of the pig, and they restrain it that way. It's pretty amazing if you have ever seen this. A pig holds perfectly still when you do this to them. And veterinary surgeons will do this to give, sows injections and stuff on a 1,000-pound animal. Like, it needs to be quite still. And you can achieve that just by noosing the top part of the mouth, the snout. And the pig pulls on it, and they're still. They're just like, this is weird. And they're just kind of constantly applying pressure, leaning back, holding perfectly still. And in that situation, John Howard would take his knife and deftly insert it just to stick the carotid artery and jugular arteries and remove it. The pig would bellow a little bit, and the pig would bleed out in a relatively peaceful manner. I could see how that could be done more peacefully than, say, a missed shot with a gun, right? So if you're super good with the gun, I don't want to say that. If you are patient and confident with the gun, use that for the pig. Eliminate the brain. But if you can't find the right rounds, if they're just hollow points, if it's a long rifle, if the pig is 2 years old, so it has a really dense skull, and you've never used the gun before, I don't know, all these other factors come into play where a good shot is looking really bad. And I would say a bad shot is so much worse than merely sticking a pig, right? Because you're shooting it in the face. It doesn't feel so good. So those are all things that have to be discerned. And I wish there was a general rule. If there is a rule, it is get super good at whatever it is. And that's what I've done. So, see how I just complimented myself like that? What I mean is I've really schooled myself in just the shooting of pigs. And so which means my gun I always have the right ammo. So it's a 22 mag every time only. And I can do it in any situation, a pig of any age or size. And so I'm good at that. So my approach has always been, I shoot the pigs and the cows. I can't imagine halal slaughtering a cow just because of the sheer body mass. It's a huge animal. You're not going to be able to restrain it. It doesn't seem wise. And so I always shoot them, and I shoot the pigs. Goats and sheep, the reason I halal slaughter and kosher slaughter them is because I am more confident in my ability to not chase them, to grab them quickly, because I stipulate that all the farmers I slaughter for have to pen them very tightly, absolute requirement. I charge $25,000 an hour to chase your sheep. So we don't do it. Pen them for the sheep's sake, really. It's bad news. So pen them very tightly. And I'm really good at managing their body, which means I can control their mind. Grasping them very decisively, laying them down, even really big sheep without too much struggle, no struggle. Because any struggle they see as a possibility of escape, and that amps their panic up. But if that is just absolutely removed, no possibility of escape, you lay them down on their side, your knife is hyper sharp, so that one swipe is all it takes, then that is the more humane way. And I would almost say anything short of that, the gun would probably be a better option, assuming you can get that shot. So that's how I think about it. It's very much discern each case before developing a taxonomy, a plan that applies across all stock.